So failure. Um, Failure is literally it's a stepping stone for success. Um, the only thing that would be a complete failure is not to fail. And embracing failure is one of the greatest gifts that I believe um, anyone can embrace as a way of being. And, what the domestication has labeled as failure may look like going into the cave and looking at all the darkness inside of the cave and then coming out and bringing it into the light. That might be perceived as failure in the old world. Um, but it's actually a stepping stone to greater awareness, learning a lesson and taking it with us to the next failure. And I'm going to give an example of how failure has served me on the external in the garden. And I came to Costa Rica thinking like I had garden my whole life. I grew up on a farm. And all the things that I knew from where I came from, most of them no longer applied. And it took a lot of failures. One of the commitments that I made during that time was that I would fail as fast as possible and as often as possible. And one of those times was when Neil and I planted and very carefully planted like 200 squash throughout the property outside. And it was a massive failure. Like we literally didn't receive any squash at all. And but what we learned is to not do that same thing again. And we kept on failing. We kept on failing. I've planted hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of plants and in failure, but what was not a failure is that I learned the lesson and moved on from it. And another way that we can look at failure is it doesn't have to be ours. So another thing that we did, the garden team, is we went and looked at other people's farms in the surrounding area, and we learned we learned from their failures. And so failure is an essential part of attaining anything worthwhile.